That lockdown message to stay home can backfire. In Ontario, when evictions were suspended in the spring, there were tenants who in bad faith exploited the pandemic protection. CTV's Vennavally-Rao on contending with squatters in the age of COVID.
Arjuman Shafiq took us into the new home he'd rented out to problem tenants who left behind piles of garbage and feces, trashing the kitchen and destroying property. The tenants were only recently evicted after not paying rent for 17 months, a nightmare that dragged on in part because of measures meant to protect tenants during COVID.
I still cannot believe this fact that this has happened in Canada. Like, I used to think that I moved here in a country where everything is based on justice and fairness.
Shafiq is originally from Pakistan and has a young family. He took out a large mortgage and bought this home as an investment. But the family that moved in stopped paying rent after a single month. And because of delays at the landlord and tenant board, Shafiq struggled to force them out for a year and a half. He says they still owe him $50,000.
I have missed credit card payments because I don't have money to make the credit card payment.
Shafiq's among a growing number of small Ontario landlords protesting against a system they say unfairly favors tenants. Residential evictions were stopped for months because of COVID, and hearings have been slow to resume.
We're not heartless. We're not wanting to throw the people that are poor. We're trying to evict the people who are not paying because they don't want to pay.
Landlord Ian Brown has had to live out of his truck for several months and couch surf after a breakup left him homeless. He tried to move back into this house that he owns, rented out to a tenant who refused to leave and stop paying rent. Brown says despite his situation, he could not get an accelerated hearing.
I have on numerous occasions slept in the truck. Yes, sir, with blankets and extra sweatshirts.
Even before COVID, Ontario's ombudsman had been looking into hearing delays. But one tenants group thinks only a tiny fraction of tenants are a problem, and it's pushing for another moratorium on evictions.
What they shouldn't be doing is authorizing people to be evicted as the pandemic is raging.
As for Shafiq, he says he'll never rent out his house again and plans to put it up for sale. Vennavally-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.